Ready Check Radio.
Stand by as we get ready to serve up all your news this week in the world of gaming. Welcome to Gaming Gumbo. Hello, Internet. Welcome once again. It's Saturday. It's 7 p.m. Eastern. That means here on twitch.tv/Ready Check Radio, it's time for Gaming Gumbo, your weekly gaming wrap-up show. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man, as I always am. And I'm excited to talk about some games. This is like the second week in a row we did Gaming Gumbo after having like 2 or 3 weeks off. It's crazy. It's crazy. Still no Torchwick after the show today. I had the week off last week as moving into RIT happened and had orientation and all that stuff. This was the first week of actual classes, so no Torchwick stream after this today. But, as we were trying to figure all this out and the schedule and would Saturday night still be the best time because now there's a roommate in the equation and all that stuff that comes with college, talked to Torchwick this week. Looks like Saturday night after the show will still be the best time for Torchwick to stream. In fact, sitting in chat right now. So probably next week, Torchwick will be back. Probably next week. Yeah, gonna do there it is. Doing network test. It's gonna be a long show to see if the internet is okay. It should be. So be looking forward.
Like the Porky Pig outro.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be nice to have Torchwick back. Possibly next week. We'll keep you posted. But in the meantime, today, Tarkoth will be live later tonight. No problem there doing Live Alive, Live Alive, Live a Live, whatever the hell you want to call it. If you're watching live, make sure you throw your opinions in there as we go. We'll bring them up on the show. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube or listening on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, all that stuff, make sure you head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com. Check out old episodes. In the upper right-hand corner, you got all the socials. Do us a favor. Click like on something. Subscribe on something. Put a comment on something. Feed those algorithms. And if you like what we do here, tell a friend. Easy, fast, and cheap. And it supports us. Joining me to go over a lot of fun stuff today, including Gamescom, Mr. Troy Blackburn. What's up, Noob Fridge?
I have some bad news. I just realized I have a knife in my hand, so I'm going to toss that over there.
Yeah, you are not good at this. You are not good at this. We do not want banned or anything. Did you see some Twitch streamer got herself banned again this week? I don't even know. I didn't know the name, but she was accidentally having sex on stream.
Oh, I think I seen a
Did you guys see that?
Screenshot of that. Yeah, I saw the screenshot.
I mean, I didn't see it.
I didn't. Not the.
I heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can hear him also on the line, Mr. Dom Greco. What's up?
Hi.
You're not accidentally having sex on stream right now, are you?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it, by the way, it's not even worth seeing, right? It's not like, wow, I got to go see this video. That's crazy. No, it's not. She played whatever she was doing and whatever game or whatever, and was typing to chat and stuff, and was clearly moving and having some type of reaction to something. Turns out her boyfriend was behind her, doing his job, and the camera shot included a window. So you're an idiot is basically what happened, because windows, when it's nighttime outside, reflect. The best part about this is and this wasn't even in the show notes, so I don't know why we're talking about it. It's gaming related, right? I don't know. Yeah, exactly why. The best part about it is every article was oh, the window, you could see the reflection. That's how they got busted, blah, 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 blah. And if you're feeling risky and you want to check out the clip, click here. Okay, fine. You got me. Whatever. Clickbait. Click. Let me see this thing. And I'm like, why the fuck did you need the window? There's 8 seconds where you can see his head behind her. Why did you need the window? There was no detective work needed here. Anyway, yeah, nobody on this show accidentally having sex? Great. Okay, fantastic. Let's talk about Gamescom. Gamescom was this week. we prepped last week, letting you know we were going to be talking about it this week, and we are not going to go through every single release at Gamescom because obviously we had the opening night live, which was like a 2-hour presentation with a bunch of games and trailers and new gameplay for things that we know are coming, and a few new things along the way. But then we had the next day was the Future Game Show, and we'll cover a little bit about that. I was actually really disappointed with the Future Game Show. I don't know if you two were as well. We'll get to that when we get there. And then there was little bits of news that just kind of dropped from the show. Right, obviously, this being the first time Gamescom was in person. It was probably a blast to be there. To be fair, we can't see what's going on below the camera frame. Oh, on this show? Yeah. Anyway. Oh, it's going to be a good one, gang. Stick around. We're having a good time. Some of us having more of a good time than others.
Somebody's having a good time anyway.
Oh, man. So anyway, we're not going to cover everything, but I do want to hit some of the... I guess, Dom, there weren't really any surprises, right? Like, their big closing surprise got violently spoiled the day before.
But before we even talk about the games, I just, because me and you have very similar opinions on Jeff. I just want to know where are you sitting with Jeff hosting the show?
Okay,
where you think he is?
From a top to bottom thing, I hated Gamescom's online presence this year. Mm-hmm. I love Jeff as a person and as somebody in the game industry. I hate him as a host. I've said it often on this show. Yeah. The last Game Awards, or the last Summer Game Show, I thought he did better than he has in a long time. That's not saying much, but it was an improvement. I was, at one point in the Discord chat, or I think it was actually maybe an MMO Bombs chat, we were talking while the show was going on, the opening night live thing, and I was like, who the hell lit this stage?
Yeah.
Like, everybody looked like it was so harsh from top down that it put these shadows on their face, and I compared it to, like, people looking like they were telling ghost stories with a flashlight. They were just like these
looked
harsh
about
shadows.
Like 20 years older than normal.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't know if it was the lighting or what, but he looked like way older than what he normally
looked. Like, unless he aged 20 years since December.
I mean, many of us have, so it has been a rough 8 or 9 months, a rough couple of years. So some of us are aging. Honestly, the awards, like, why did they cram a couple awards in there? I was like, that had to have been Jeff. That had to have been like, oh yeah, let's do some trailers, and you know what? Let's throw some awards in there. And I'm like, just keep that at the Game Awards then. They were like most anticipated Xbox game or most demanded, whatever they were calling it. They showed 4 or 5 trailers, and I was like, I've never heard of any of these. I do this for a living, and I have never heard of any of these. So, yeah, I was not a fan of any of the presentations. Jeff was... the whole show looked bad. I don't know how much of it was Jeff's fault, though. I don't know how much of it was Jeff's fault.
I was disappointed in the game presentations themselves. It was a lot of cinematic trailers.
Yeah, a lot.
And very little gameplay at all. And I was really hoping to see some gameplay for some of this stuff that's coming out late this year, early next year. I thought they would have a little something to show, but it was just so much cinematic trailer that it just got old. Yeah,
and then at the end, like, they made a point with Dead Island 2 to really be like, well, when can we see gameplay? How about right now? Oh, okay. So you did know people want to see gameplay of these things. You were cognizant of it enough to make it a joke. But yeah, there was, I mean, Callisto Protocol, which obviously that's one we're going to talk about. They showed gameplay, but you're right. It was very few and far between. There were a lot of official teaser trailers, a lot of cinematic reveal trailers. There were very few that were in gameplay, and chat kept saying the same thing. Show me gameplay. Show me gameplay. Or Dying Light.
There was one.
Dying Light 2, not Dead Island 2, sorry.
I assume we're going to get to it, but there is one that lit up my inbox, my Discord, Twitter, friends that I haven't talked to about PC gaming in months were messaging me about the Dune survival MMO, and that was just nothing but cinematic trailer, but that got a lot of people excited. Like, I've never had that much response come towards me. Like, have you seen this? What do you know? Do you know anything else?
Yeah.
I've never had that much of that come towards me over one thing before.
Yeah, so kind of we'll take them in order, mostly reveal order. And again, we're not going to cover every single game here, but there are some like Dune that I do want to get your takes on. Everywhere, coming from ex-Rockstar team. Ironically, the outline I'm using here is IGN after we kind of bashed them before the show. I totally forgot that.
I didn't. I thought it was kind of ironic.
So that's former lead developer of the GTA series, Leslie Benzies, and it's a new IP. That's kind of all we know. Multi-world, open-world game, and yeah. Dune Awakening got a new trailer. This is coming from Funcom, who I guess just kind of said, we have one really successful game in a desert, Dom, so let's make a second one. Because Conan Exiles continues to do pretty well for Funcom. Now we're going to get a survival MMO. How much MMO will actually be in that has yet to be determined. I guess in some ways you could try to call Conan Exiles a survival MMO since there are multiplayer elements to it. Not massive, though, so maybe there's the argument. We don't know, but the trailer, I love the Dune IP. I'm a big fan of the Dune IP. My dad introduced me to the books when I was like an early teenager, and so I absolutely love it. I don't know how well it fits in an MMO environment unless you're telling a side story. I feel like it would be very hard to do an MMO narrative-driven with the main IP source material because it's just so much in there. There's just so much in there that I think some of it would be diluted to a great point. I don't know. As soon as they said survival, though, Troy, I was kind of gone. I was like, I'm over survival. Like, this just keeps going. I know you like those types of things, though. Yeah. How are you seeing it in a Dune IP, though?
To me, just first guess, it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be Conan Exiles with a different IP on it, or it's going to be more like New World, if they want to call it a survival MMO. They really seem to put the word MMO out there in a time and age where not everybody wants to be called an MMO.
Yeah, but at this point, nobody wants to be called survival. Like, even New World, like, just put a strike through on the word survival.
And that's what really surprised me about the amount of feedback and excitement that I was getting from folks was survival MMO. I was like, this isn't like, they didn't say theme park MMO. They didn't say MMORPG. They said survival MMO. And my first guess would be, Conan Exiles with a different IP. But a lot of people, I think they just seen the word MMO and got excited about Dune. And a lot of huge fans of Dune out there right now, especially with the new movie that just came out. A lot of people were introduced to the Dune IP that maybe weren't already familiar with it through the books.
Yeah.
Or the older movie that's a slog to get through. But it was just interesting the amount of feedback that I got from it with having that survival tag in it from folks who I know personally, especially that I don't know as survival MMO players or survival game players.
Yeah, I have a feeling though a lot of people are going to end up disappointed because it's not going to be an MMORPG. And on first glance, seeing Buzz material, Dom, it did kind of leave the impression by using the term survival MMO that, this is World of Warcraft in Dune. If you're close enough to the genre, you know that that's not what they were trying to say. But if you're on the periphery of the genre, it could set you up for some disappointment here. Is this anything you're interested in, though?
I mean, I love Dune, but I think more people are just attached to the word Dune than they are any of the other words. Like, I don't even think MMO or survival was registering in their brains. They're just like, video game, Dune, let's go. Like, I don't know. Like, if they maybe they should have dipped their toes in like Tremors instead. It's the same premise, right? Big giant sandworms.
Yeah, but then you don't have space crack. If you do Tremors, you don't get to say, "Hey, there's spice. Go get the spice."
That's true.
Which obviously is probably going to play a huge part in the.
I'd probably rather play a Tremors game, though, just to be honest.
Roll your Kevin Bacon and see what happens. See what happens. Often people forget Kevin Bacon was in Friday the 13th, so he's not always been great. Johnny Depp was in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, right? I mean, they got to start somewhere. Right?
True.
And that Callisto Protocol, baby. This was
you're gonna skip right over the controller.
Oh yeah, PlayStation 5's doing a new controller.
Controller?
Yeah, great, fantastic. Fix the drift.
I was actually gonna comment on that. if we started talking about it. I don't know.
Fix the drift. There are we're gonna talk about it later, but there's some cool stuff with PlayStation 5 haptic feedback that companies are messing around with. It's very, very cool. Callisto Protocol continues to look awesome. New gameplay. I can't wait. December 2nd, the release date for this one. I mean, this is like right up my alley. The third-person survival horror, gore, Dead Space, Resident Evil. Like, just throw them all in a bucket and see what happens. I am totally on board. I have been totally on board for a while. However, not on board enough for your GameStop exclusive collector's set. Holy hell. I mean, the statue looks cool, don't get me wrong, but this is an unknown IP, a $250 collector's set. Steelbook, some pins, cool looking statue. Like, it's nothing you haven't seen before, but I'm not sure. You're lucky you're getting 60 or 70 on this right now. You know,
was anybody else like frustrated watching them try to like play the game?
No.
Watching this trailer, I was really frustrated. I'm like, come on, what are you doing?
No.
Just use that power and throw them into the saw every time.
No, I was totally like,
trying to show off.
Yeah, I get that.
Some stuff. Yeah,
I get it, but just it's not effective. Throw them into the saw blades every time.
Let me move my camera shot up a little bit.
I did like where they used one of the bodies as a shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From one of the other ones. That was.
And I will
cool.
say the way they ended it was pretty cool.
The whole thing I thought was awesome. The only thing that could screw this one up for me, I think, is just a dumb story, Dom.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the only thing that could kill my enjoyment of this, because like the gameplay, like nothing looks earth-shattering and ground exactly. Like nothing looks so brand new that I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like that or not. I'm fine with third person. I'm fine with this type of combat. I'm fine with this type of dark environments and stuff. You got to have the story now, because if you don't, or if you just do like a retelling of, as much as I loved Resident Evil Village, right? It was basically a new Resident Evil 4 when you look at the narrative beats of Village. Love the game, but I was a little disappointed with the story. I hope that's not the case here, because you get a little less leeway on shit like that, Troy, when you're a brand new IP.
And you're also a love letter to Dead Space, the original game.
Which, by the way, has a remake coming out right behind you.
Yeah.
It does.
So enjoy your time in the sun, new IP. What you're writing a love letter to is back, baby. Lords of the Fallen gets a new trailer and a title.
Lords of the Fallen.
They took the 2 away and put a "the" in front of it. So now it's The Lords of the Fallen, not Lords of the Fallen
sequel
2.
to Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah. Honestly, I've never played Lords of the Fallen. Did either of you?
No,
I haven't played it.
So did this interest you at all?
No, I can't say that it did.
Not really.
I feel so the reason I know it may be a great game. I'm not gonna bash it. I don't know, but
yeah,
when I want to play something like that, I just boot up Dark Souls, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
But there's a genre of people out there who just they want the next Souls, like whatever's coming next, the big fancy.
Yeah, I guess. Moving Out 2 is announced. I forgot the original Moving Out was a thing.
This actually looked fun though.
It does, and I remember saying that about Moving Out, and then still never bought it.
Yeah, that's true.
I like wacky based physics games. Like Overcooked. Do you know how many hours I've put into Overcooked and Overcooked 2? Like just stupid little zany multiplayer games like that. Absolutely love them. So Moving Out looked cute. Hogwarts Legacy, I couldn't give a rat's ass about.
No, they were like, "Oh, you guys excited?" And then the crowd very seemingly didn't want to cheer, but it's almost like they were forced at gunpoint to cheer. And I was like, "Oof!" And I didn't even watch it. I just seeked past the trailer.
New Tales from the Borderlands. You probably already knew about that. We've known about it for months.
Can I just comment on the name? I hate
new tales
when
from the
games
Borderlands.
put new anything, like new Super Mario Brothers. Like that stuff irritates me to this day. I don't know. I don't know. It drives me insane because in like 10 years, you want to go back retro play. Yeah, I'm playing new Tales from the Borderlands. Oh, it's a new one?
Oh, there's
No,
a new
it's
one?
10 years old. Like I hate
They
it.
can
I
just call
hate
it
it.
the Tales from the Borderlands.
Yeah. Or more Tales from the Borderlands,
Yeah.
or
Like more scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and of course Randy Pitchford came out in a fabulous purplish glittery shirt and bright yellow fucking pants. Whatever. Us magicians, man. Us magicians. What can I say? Dying Light 2, the secret that was never a fucking secret. Yeah. That was supposed to be like the big reveal, and that totally got spoiled the night before. No. Wait. Hold on. Let me jump ahead a minute here. Where are you? Holy hell. There's a bunch of crap at this show. Dead Island. Oh, I was right. Dead Island 2. Sorry. Dead Island 2 got spoiled at the night before. That is a thing when it wasn't a thing after being a thing. And yeah, you're going to get more of that. Warhammer 40K Dark Tide, Troy. New trailer.
Continues to
trailer.
impress.
Yeah, they keep getting better. Again, I would have liked to have seen gameplay, but at least this one was kind of like more on the customization side of things. So you were seeing things that you will have your hands on if it wasn't full gameplay.
Yeah, it's and we've seen enough of it here and there that those of us who know what the game should be are seeing the things that we want to see and the little bit of gameplay that we have seen, and then you get things like customization, stuff like that on top of it. Really excited for this game, and I think it's gonna hit a lot of good check marks for a lot of people. I see this being a big release.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. Then, and again, we're not going in any particular order here. We got from Squanch Games the High on Life boss fight. So I guess actually showing gameplay, we got to give them a thumbs up for that. And let me just say, I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan, right? Obviously, there's some episodes for me that are more hit than miss than other episodes. That's fine. But I am okay with that style of humor, that type of humor, that irreverence. Like, I don't take things super seriously. I think there are certain times when a non-PC joke is fine, when it's in the right audience, the right company, and not done in a destructive manner to deliberately hurt somebody, right? I'm not like super far edge case. So I always thought I could probably get behind some of the humor in this game. I hated this video.
Whatever. The dagger is my spirit animal. What are you talking about?
This
F this, and F that, and F, and F, and F, and F, and F, and I was like, yes, my man.
Yeah, but see, and it just felt to me like it was just trying way too hard to find that edgy humor that when you watch an episode of Rick and Morty, the more edgy humor fits and slides right in, but they've also had all this time to develop the script, practice it. That didn't work. Let's make some edits. You would think that the same thing would be used here. It's just not. And by the way, I can't not hear Morty's voice and not hear Rick's voice, because each of them is as talented as they may be. They each have like 3 voices. Like that's it. They're not like high super range vocal voice artists or anything like that. They have very distinctive voices, even when they're trying to make them not distinctive. And there were little bits of funny in like the gun saying different things to you as you're fighting. And I like the concept of it more than I like the execution of it. And honestly, the boss fight looked boring as hell. Like the whole thing just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, the gameplay itself looked horrendous. I wouldn't want to play this game if that's what it's going to look like gameplay-wise. But for me, I laughed out loud.
And this was a boss fight. Like, this was not, hey, let's give a vertical slice. This was a boss fight. This should be one of the more exciting things to be happening.
And it looked like just some random schlub playing, just playing against some random enemy in the game. It didn't come across as boss fighty. It didn't come across as engaging. It didn't come across as interesting at all. I will give you that, absolutely.
It looks like something that should have come out like for the original Wii.
Yeah, I mean, it does look a little dated, although. But yeah, but I also don't expect like bleeding cutting edge out of Squanch Games. They're not exactly a game studio.
And the guns were just way too distracting for me. I ended up focusing on them more than I did like what was going on in the scene.
They just did not shut up. The whole thing, you just didn't do it for me. I don't know. Maybe the game will be better and some of that will be peeled back a little bit, but there were times where I was like, okay, we don't need to be constantly witty every 8 seconds. Could you shut up and let me kill this boss?
Yeah, I'm watching the trailer right now, and the gameplay just doesn't look interesting at all.
Then there was Hideo Kojima, gentlemen. What could it be? What could it be, Dom? Silent Hill, right? A new Silent Hill.
No, that wasn't even on my radar.
Something
Anything tied to Konami, no way.
Some partnership through Sony to do a Metal Gear remake.
Death Stranding 3. They're just gonna skip 2 like Goat Simulator.
Death Stranding 2. What could Kojima be here to talk about? This is awesome. This one I didn't see coming. This one wasn't spoiled. What is it? Coming. It's a podcast. Yeah, he's having a brain structure podcast where it'll be talking it'll be simulcast in both, or available in both English and Japanese, talking to various professionals in various fields. Welcome to Gamescom. Welcome. Gamescom.
That's as boring as the gameplay I just got done watching.
Hey, Gotham Knights. They surprised everybody saying, hey, we got news about our launch date. And everybody was like, ugh. And they were like, yeah, we're moving it up. October 21st. October 21st. I know Torchwick has been watching this one. Very, very interested in it. Is this something you're going after, Dom?
No.
No?
No, I'm more interested in the Pokemon announcement.
I've seen a very mixed bag when it comes to Gotham Knights. I've seen some folks.
That's what Torchwick has said too. He's like,
it looks pretty cool, but for a mainstream audience, it just doesn't seem to be grabbing any like mainstream attention at all.
Yeah, Torchwick's like they keep doing things that you're like, okay, that's cool, and then they do things that just like that doesn't fit what you've done with other Gotham games. Like, this was very weird.
I want it more like the Batman Arkham games, and then I'm on board.
That's what Torchwick said. Yeah.
I think everybody wants a little more Batman Gotham.
Like the closest we got recently was Spider-Man. That felt very much like the Batman games, and I enjoyed the hell out of that game.
Yeah.
So much that I platinumed it twice.
Well, aren't you special? Then there was my favorite non-Callisto Protocol announcement that I did not see coming. We are getting an asymmetrical 3 versus 7 multiplayer game based on killer clowns from outer space. You sons of bitches, you did it. You did it. You absolutely did it. And when they said 3 against 7, I was like, wow, what odd numbers to... Oh, that's right, those clowns, those like the 3 main clowns in the movie, they moved as a unit. So 3v7 totally makes sense. Now, it's not by the team that did Friday the 13th, to be clear, but it is by the former executive director. So there's some leadership, at least, on this team that has done this type of asymmetrical gameplay before, and they have done it very well. Friday the 13th was awesome. It was great to play. Unfortunately, it got squashed under something that had nothing to do with them, the lawsuit between studios and creators over who owned certain characters. Thus, they weren't able to do anything in the game anymore until those lawsuits were settled, and it took so damn long that it just basically killed the damn game. So, a lead that has done this type of stuff before, you know me in horror movies, 1980s horror movies in particular are like a soft spot. This is one that my dad and I watched a bajillion times. I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's going to be so dumb, but I don't care. And then I'm getting a Texas Chainsaw Massacre one, asymmetric gameplay, and then I'm getting Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. Like, bam, 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 bam. Dom, you and I, we got some stuff to do, son. We got some stuff to do, because you and I do enjoy these asymmetrical ones.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when done correctly, these are a lot of fun. My concern is we're starting to get so many of them now. Are they going to become the next battle royale where they all just kind of start blending together and they all
Can
kind
you
of look the
imagine?
same? They all kind of do the same thing.
Can you imagine like them? No, this one's 3v7. Different. Totally different.
Yeah,
Totally different. Not 1v4. Nah. 3v7. 3v7. You down, Havoc? All right, you're going to get in with us too? Awesome. We'll make a whole stream about it. I mean, we could have 10 people. It's 3v7. So we'll make a whole stream about it. Absolutely. Could you imagine like sitting there like, hey, we want to make one of those. Let's do Friday the oh, somebody already did that. How about Texas Chains? No, somebody did that. We do Nightmare on Elm Street. How would you really make that one work? Plus, it might be a little on the expensive side. Oh, dude, do you guys remember Killer Clowns from Outer Space? Oh, we got Evil Dead, Troy. Evil Dead. In the same space.
It was either Killer Clowns from Outer Space or Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, you know.
So. This IP to do this game was probably like $8 in a beef jerky. Like it could not have been.
We probably could have afforded to purchase this IP for a game.
Right. When we get to Future Game Show, day 2 of Gamescom, honestly, that one to me felt like an indie showcase, and I'm totally fine with an indie showcase, but I didn't expect the Future Game Show to be an indie showcase. There seemed, at least for me, there seemed to be like nothing that I was horribly interested in, but I will defer to you two if there were other titles, either in opening night or in Future Game Show, that you do want to mention and call out here, Dom.
Yeah, no. Nothing really stood out to me.
Troy?
I was going to say nothing stood out to me at all, other than just the response I got from Dune, and then of course being excited for the Warhammer 40K.
Yeah. Unfortunately delayed, but we're still supposed to get it this year, right? November, isn't it? Is that November?
I thought they already pushed that back. Did they not?
Yeah, November 30th.
Okay.
Yeah. It was delayed till November 30th.
It'd probably get delayed again.
Probably.
I know our buddy Mike Schaffner is going to be really interested in the Genshin update.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Schaffnet loves him some Genshin. Genshin. Have you guys, did I use all of the B-roll that I wanted to use there? Yes, I did. Okay, good. Moving on from Gamescom, Saints Row came out this week.
Talk about some a way to reboot your game. This is not the way to do it, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, they went for the cyberpunk approach.
This one's bad, folks. But here's the thing. We knew it was going to be bad. Like,
everything leading up to this looked like it was not going to be good.
Yeah, like the moment we saw the first like reveal trailers and stuff like this, those of us that have been Saints Row fans, like Saints Row kind of caught lightning in a bottle at like the right time and almost by accident in my mind, right? Mm-hmm. Like it tried to be a little over the top Grand Theft Auto and Saints Row 1 and Saints Row 2. And then when they did Saints Row 3, they kind of figured out, hey, we're actually better when we're not trying to be an over-the-top version of GTA, but when we're more making fun of GTA-style games and just fully owning that tongue-in-cheek, making fun of this genre while playing a game. Like, I feel like they really hit their stride with the third one. That was
definitely by far their most popular release.
This was... And what's weird is it is being reviewed... like anywhere from a 1 to a 10. It depends on what outlet you're talking to. Some of these outlets, like IGN, I think is probably, ironically, as much as I give them a bunch of shit, they scored it a 6 out of 10, and I think that's probably fair. It's maybe a slightly above average open world game in a vacuum by itself. but it's got the Saints Row name. Like, you were trying to capitalize on the audience that liked, once again, irreverent humor, non-politically correct humor, tongue-in-cheek, making fun of itself and its genre. And it does do over-the-top set pieces, right? Things blowing up, laying on top of a car and shooting rocket launchers at cars chasing you, and all kinds, with the Saints Row crowbar in it. All kinds of that over-the-top stuff. But it almost feels like they pulled the soul out of the game. Mm-hmm. And I understand why they maybe, Dom, didn't dive into the humor of yesteryear when it's Saints Row. We're in a very different climate now, and executives, like it or not, although Saints Row has a big fan base, or had a big fan base, they wanted to sell it to not just that fan base. They wanted to sell this to anybody that wants a GTA-style open-world game while they're waiting for GTA 6. Which, by the way, you're now not allowed to say in most Twitch chats for some reason. Anyway, I'm not kidding. But I don't feel like they needed to do the humor in that they've done in the past, which might be just downright offensive for large-scale audiences in today's climate. I'm with them, and I understand. But it also felt like they sucked all the soul out of this. I don't understand. Right now, it is scoring a 2.7 overall if you look at Google's stuff. If you go to Metacritic, the PlayStation 5 and things like that, they are rating user scores of like 3. The meta score from editors is 63, but this is where it gets really odd. Gaming Nexus, 95. This is the PlayStation 5 version. 95. GameByte, 80. IGN Italia, 75. And then, like, Destructoid, I think, put it at an 8? You're out of your damn minds. Like, the reviews...
How much of that is paid, though?
Of course they're facing those accusations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, oh, you got paid for it. It's just, and by the way, we haven't even talked about the bugs, Dom. You said Cyberpunk earlier, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know very much about it, but I was looking through some of the comments, and people are just complaining that it's absolutely almost like unplayable on Xbox, like alone.
If you read the Gaming Nexus review, it doesn't sound that way.
What did they say?
Volition's gamble to reset and reground Saints Row pays off generously. A visual delight with plenty of gameplay mechanics keep players goofing off for days. Did they play the same game everybody else played?
I don't.
It's sad. It is sad to see. But it's also not, as I said before, it's not surprising to see. Like, as soon as we saw this reveal way back when, everybody that was a Saints Row fan was like, you're just trying to capitalize on Saints Row fans. This does not feel, look, or sound like a Saints Row game. A Saints Row, it just doesn't. AGC, one of my favorite YouTube reviewers, independent reviewers, is like, this is a wait for a deep sale if you want it. Just wait for a deep sale because it's not going to take long to get there. To be fair, they are trying to fix a bunch of the bugs. Of course they are, right? But how long that will go on, who knows?
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that, like, yeah, there's fun to be had here, and we wouldn't even have talked about it, Troy, if it didn't have the Saints Row name. If it was just like, hey, there's a new open world GTA clone by Troy's gaming studio that's getting some mediocre that's getting some mediocre reviews across the board. But if you're looking for something to do before GTA 6, great. Because it has the Saints Row name, though, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. The story is boring as hell. It is absolutely boring. It's just boring.
I think it was Skill Up that said.
I'm going to tell you that the story is boring. It's boring.
I think Skill Up said that they played the game, and it seemed like that they were really trying to target millennials with a lot of the humor, but it just seems to miss on every count of that.
It's unfortunate. This is why we can't have nice things.
You can't. I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
No, it's just I hate this like targeting a generation for humor. Like what happened to like timeless humor? You know?
You know what? Or if you know what, with an IP like this that has the past that it does, though, Dom, I feel like targeting the humor would have been totally fine if they would have targeted the humor the way they targeted the previous game's humor and just said,
Yes.
look, there's gonna be people that think this is offensive. There are going to be people that don't buy this. There are going to be people that hate this. And we're probably not going to get any more of an audience than we have on previous Saints Row titles because of the way we're going to just totally own what we do. And you know what? They would have made money.
But your existing fans would have absolutely loved that.
Yeah.
And reviewed this into the moon.
I just hate when you alienate the fan base that you already have.
That's the thing. I don't have a problem with you targeting an audience, particularly if you have an established IP and you know exactly what audience you need to target to make that. But when you shift so far away from that to try and open up the audience, it's that old saying, right? You try to please everybody. Who do you end up pleasing? Nobody. And that's where Saints Row is falling right now when you can get it to run. And when hitting somebody with a car isn't shooting the NPC into the sky. Just Google the bugs. They are funny. It's kind of like watching the Cyberpunk bugs when that first came out.
It's kind of like watching the Let's Play It Out YouTube channel.
Yeah.
To be fair, I got shot into the sky when I was hit by a giant in Skyrim when it first launched too.
Me too. The Skyrim space program. Let's go.
That's Bethesda, though. You expect that.
That's true. That is their target audience. Is the people who are just going to work through the bugs for the first.
I mean, let's
weeks.
be real. Have you played Skyrim if you haven't been launched into space?
Right. Do you even launch into space? Like, do you even
said something in an ESO one time where we ran into a giant, and I'm like, I'm disappointed it's not sending me to space right now. Like, this isn't really a Elder Scrolls game. What the hell?
All right, let's talk about some miscellaneous. Torchwick was just shot into the sky by a giant in Skyrim a few days ago. It took him a while to get into like the Elder Scrolls stuff, but I finally got Torchwick into him. Finally. And he's been having a blast off and on with Skyrim.
Has he been playing on the Stream Deck?
No. He's an RIT. The Steam. You think the Steam Deck went with him? Are you out of your damn mind? My Steam Deck's upstairs in the living room. He's in New York.
Knowing you, I just figured you ordered like 3 of them, so I can't be sure.
Oh, hell no. That thing was $650. Get the hell out of here.
Come on, we all know you bought a PS5 to keep in the box. You have another one that you play.
No, I did not.
We know, Mike.
Get the hell out of here.
One's on the shelf.
Some miscellaneous news. No, Amazon is not buying EA. Shut up. At least
I wouldn't have been disappointed.
At least not. At least not yet.
Yeah, it's at least not yet. It seems on brand for them. It does. Like I wouldn't be surprised.
This started yesterday, and somebody shot it to me and was like, "You should cover this on MMO Bomb." And if had it been news, we would have, because both companies own multiplayer stuff. So absolutely. But I was like, "No, this isn't true." And within 20 minutes, all of a sudden, CNBC was like, "This isn't true." This started by one author putting something up on USA Today. It wasn't technically USA Today. It was GLHF, which is an outlet and partner for the Win, put it up on their site. And then USA Today, after CNBC went on TV and said, this isn't true. They're not talking Steam Deck 2. We can cover that after the show. They're talking more future support of the brand. But anyway. So USA then took it down. No. Now, we did talk about on this show how that was an option. EA was kind of exploring being purchased, and Amazon was one of the potential buyers, as well as Disney and some other entities. But CNBC says that their sources say This is not going to happen unless everybody that was previously involved in these discussions are no longer involved at all in these discussions. So, like, unless they got rid of the entire team that was part of the original discussions and replaced them, this is unlikely to happen.
Somebody didn't get along.
All right. What else we got? Hey, Troy, remember a few weeks ago when we said, I think it was you on the show, when Sony did their financial call and they were asked about, are you going to increase the price of the PlayStation 5? And they said they cannot comment, or they had no comment on the price of the PlayStation 5 in response to them not quite meeting their financial targets that they had set. And we laughed on this show because not saying no meant, yeah, we're going to. We're going to. They are increasing the cost of the PlayStation 5 in basically everywhere but the United States right now. So both editions in Europe, UK, Middle East, Africa, Asia, Latin America, and Canada. The United States, really the only market that isn't seeing a price increase right now. We talked about this on Thursday's The Relic Grind because this immediately had Japanese gamers slamming Square Enix, requesting that Final Fantasy XVI release on PC immediately with the PlayStation 5. Because remember, at launch, that title is PS5 exclusive.
Yeah.
Now, it's only a timed exclusive, so it will eventually come to PC like Final Fantasy VII Remake did. But with the just sheer unavailability of the PlayStation 5 still, and now the price increase, Japanese gamers extremely pissed off. And unfortunately,
rightfully so,
but unfortunately, nothing's going to be done about it. Like,
no, because like you could scream and yell and whatever all you want, but that's not how like legal contracts work. That they sign the deal to make exclusive. You know, like.
So yeah, that's kind of a mess. While on top of that, as we were talking about pre-show, Sony getting sued for almost $6 billion in the UK over their practices for the PlayStation Store, charging developers a flat 30% to get on that store, which is then in turn causing developers to increase their prices and give those prices to the consumers. UK watchdogs going after them for that, trying to score a bunch of money for the last 6 years or so to anybody that's bought anything on the PlayStation Store. The confusing thing about that to me is that they aren't going after all walled gardens yet, just Sony. And maybe you argue that, yeah, Steam is 30%, but there are other digital distribution platforms on PC. Maybe that's the mental thinking there. But then you have Apple and, you know, Epic Games going after Apple in the United States for the same thing that now the UK government is going after Sony for. And in pre-show, we kind of talked about maybe that's let's get one out of the way and see what happens, and then try to go after the rest, maybe. But yeah, Sony not having a good time right now. However, your boys at Xbox and Nintendo had some stuff to say very, very quickly, Troy, on this price increase. What did they say?
They said, we will not be increasing prices. A very, very easy PR move. Probably something that may not have even been asked if Sony hadn't been raising prices, but, you know, be able to take advantage of that and be like, oh, they're over there raising price. Nah, I think we're good where we're at. Keep everybody happy. And
while that may be like, you're like, okay, cool with Xbox, I read Nintendo, Dom, we're not increasing prices. And I was like, the fuck you better not. Your shit's like 7 years old now.
I know.
Like, were you going to increase it in year 8 of its life? Come on.
I'm still waiting for that Super Nintendo Switch.
Right. Phil Spencer, by the way, speaking of Xbox, does think that we will see less and less exclusives over time. I think that's very interesting for a company that is buying Activision Blizzard.
Right.
And certainly has, you know, at least the next 3 Call of Duties they contractually have to put on PlayStation. And then Sony is yelling at all these legislative bodies all over the world. We talked about Brazil saying, this is unfair. You know, nobody can compete with Call of Duty. They're going to make it exclusive. Microsoft saying we're not making it exclusive. Now Phil Spencer in an interview saying I think exclusives are eventually going to go away and get less and less anyway. I mean, saying all the right things, but it's kind of tempting, I guess, sometimes just be like, yeah, this is going to be our piece of the pie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
mean,
It's
they're
just
spending so much money buying up stuff. Like, there's got to be more exclusives, at least planned in the future for them. They've got to want some of that to be exclusive. They've got to, like you said, they've got to want, why have a piece of the pie when you can have the whole pie?
Yep.
I mean, do the exclusives really do anything for them at this point? Right? You have the fan base, the loyalty. They're buying the consoles anyway, right? Regardless, you're either Team PlayStation, Team Microsoft, or Team PC. Like
Yeah, but Phil Spencer has
you're
been
gonna sit
saying
there.
the right things lately. Now, whether
Right,
he'll
but-
not, he'll execute them, because he did exactly what I would do on this topic. He was like, "Look, I don't want when you want to play a game, like when Mike wants to play a game with Dom, we don't want to worry about what hunk of plastic is in our living
Right.
room." And like literally, that is the phrase he used. We don't want to worry about what hunk of plastic happens to be in our living room.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting to. Like, because it's not a smart business move to keep the games off of other consoles when you can sell those games to those consoles and still make a profit. Like,
Yep.
I agree with Phil on this, and I think we will see a lot less exclusives. That's not to say none.
Yeah.
Just less.
Oh, this is so cool. And maybe it's only cool to me because I'm an NHL hockey guy. I've loved and played hockey since, God, I don't know. How old were we? Havoc, like 6, 7, something like that. NHL 23 will feature the first woman on a Prime Sports game cover. If you don't know, this is Sarah Nurse. She's of the Canadian women's national team. She set a bunch of records in the frickin' Olympics and helped guide Team Canada to the gold there. Obviously, if you're an NHL fan, posing next to her is Trevor Zegras from the Anaheim Ducks, who has his own series of just absolutely amazing stuff. Check it out on YouTube. But this is the first time that two people have shared the cover and that a woman has shared the cover of the game as well. Very, very cool. My daughter, who is very, very into hockey, since I took her to her first hockey game about a year and a half ago now, and we've gone to a bunch since then. Very, very into hockey. Loved watching Sarah do her thing. Just thought it was amazing. As somebody that has a teenage daughter, I am like more... When I was a teenage boy, I didn't care, right? I was like 16, 17, 18. I don't care who's on the cover of NHL. Oh, it was Mario Lemieux this year. Sweet. That's my guy. And then every other year, I didn't care. And then even like, I'm going to be honest, as an early parent, I didn't care. Having a teenage daughter, watching her grow up, watching like who she idolizes, who she's, interacting with on social media, stuff like that. It's become more aware in my head of just the lack of certain role models in certain industries for her. So this, I think, is awesome. Now, obviously, we're not going to get a female NHL anytime soon and stuff like that. And there are arguments for and against that with the performance of, the WNBA and how well it does as a financial entity and things like that.
Or doesn't do.
Or doesn't, yeah.
Entity.
And we could, talk about that for hours. But I think this is very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
Obviously,
it
super talented
absolutely
woman, totally deserving to be on the cover. And to have the honor of being the first female on the cover, I think that's very cool.
On a side note, do you want to know what the last NHL game I played was on? What console it was on?
Genesis.
Close.
Super Nintendo.
N64.
N64.
Yeah.
Wow. I would have thought you would have been like a 94, 95 guy on the Sega or Super Nintendo.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Genesis. There was a gap. It was like whatever. I don't remember which. And it was one of them that you could slap shot through the glass, and I was able to do that pretty consistently.
Yeah.
I remember that one on Genesis, but then I like there was a big gap, and then like I played the N64 one just to see. What
You
it
go
was
back
like
to
in
94 and you put Wayne Gretzky on his ass. Put him on his ass. Send him out of the game.
I had to see what it was like in 3D on the 64, though. I had to.
Troy, this is really cool. The Last of Us Part 1, whether or not you care about this particular game, I don't care either. But they're going to be using the PlayStation 5 controller's haptic feedback in a very unique way. Because if you know anything about the haptic feedback, it's not just a rumble, right? There are different things that can do. It's not just a vibration or a rumble like controllers in the past. There are different techniques they can use to trigger certain parts, intensity, and all kinds of different aspects of what that feedback can do. They're going to use it to actually assist deaf players in, I don't want to say hearing the dialogue, but being able to recognize the emotion and tone of dialogue that they may be reading on the screen in the form of subtitles. Game director Matthew Gallant says that they will use it so that way a deaf player can feel the way a line is delivered, can feel the emphasis, along with the subtitles to give some sense of how that line is being delivered. So my guess here is like if they're exceedingly angry or yelling, a more intense vibration, or in certain parts, but that's not all that they're doing. That's cool enough with the controller. They say, we're expecting this to be an accessible experience for blind players, deaf players, players with motor accessibility needs. The biggest, newest feature we have are audio descriptions for cinematics. Audio descriptions for cinematics. So you don't have to rely on sight to see the cinematics. We partnered with Descriptive Video Works, a professional service whose background is TV, movies, and video game trailers, and integrated it into the cutscenes and across all of our localized languages. A lot more needs to be done, obviously, in accessibility when it comes to video games, and that is a topic that literally we could discuss on the show for a few hours, so we're going to have to skip it for today. And is there more that Last of Us can do? Probably. It's not going to be but these are very, very cool features. Very, very intelligently. Like, they reached out to a company, Troy. They were like, we don't know the best way to do this. Let's get a company that does this for a living to do it for us. That shows a dedication to wanting to get the feature there, knowing it's just going to be an expense for you.
I was going to say that's how you know that they want it to be right. They want it to be done well, is that they're reaching out. They're not just doing it in-house and be like, oh, look at this fancy feature we have, buy our $70 remake. The fact that they've actually reached out and put some thought and emphasis on the accessibility, which is, like you said, can be such a struggle for some folks in the video game genre specifically. It's good to see a company finally reaching out and really making an effort towards accessibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
And others have too. Others have too. Like, we don't want to put them on a huge pedestal by themselves here. There's still a long way to go as an industry, though, I think is the point all three of us would make.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I think the story of the game is great too, and what better place to start than, this game for storytelling. So,
Metal Gear and Silent Hill fans, we kind of talked a little bit earlier, and I think some of you are getting a little hyped over what will be nothing. So Konami has said that they are going to release 23 games and 18 DLC packs on digital distribution platforms for the PC, classic and new games, on the official Konami shop. In there are things like Castlevania, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, Contra, other games. So people are, well, the Metal Gears and Silent Hills will be coming back, and then maybe they'll do some. No.
slow your roll.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm right there with you. Like, believe me, my heart is with you, and we've talked about it on the show how much my heart is with you, and I want new but no.
The one that I would love to see in this group, but I'm not getting my hopes up, is Shadow of Destiny. That was one of my favorite Konami games.
Yeah, it was a PlayStation 2, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was. If you're not in the U.S. or Canada, I believe it was called Shadow of Memories for everyone outside of the U.S. But yeah, Shadow of Destiny was a fantastic game. Time travel.
Torchwick. Metal Gear Rising is still a Metal Gear game. We're talking about the fact that Metal Gear 2 and Metal Gear 3 are virtually unplayable unless you own them from way back in the day, because you cannot get them anywhere because they lost the rights to some of the other stuff inside those games. Those are the ones we're talking about, Torchwick, that, maybe they'll do something so that they can end up on this service. Probably not. Probably
I
not.
was also going to say that it has Charles Martinet, the voice of Super Mario in the game, but very, very different role, one you wouldn't expect.
Yeah,
You,
just a
like,
little.
you're not going to recognize him. Not going to recognize him.
We met him at Too Many Games. Not the most recent one, the previous year.
Yeah, I met him at the
Yeah.
the
He was
opening of
so nice.
Nintendo New York.
He was so nice. He was so kind to my kids and was just like signing away this poster and doing the voice. And then he's like, I'm going to write this one upside down. Woo! Like, he was so nice.
He's so happy.
Yeah.
Like, he...
And
like,
we saw him at like 9 o'clock at night. He was done in like 5 minutes. And he was still like that.
I saw him super early at like 8 or 9 in the morning for the opening of Nintendo New York. And he's running up and down the street going, yeah, wah, wahoo! You know, it's just like doing the Mario fist pumps, everything. It's just like insane.
We'll have to see how the
legend.
movie goes now, right?
Hey,
the Netflix Resident Evil series, I just wanted to let you know, is canceled.
Surprise.
One season.
Very
season.
surprised. Shocked. This is my shocked face.
Really,
I'm kind of see. I disagree. I think it would have been fine if it wasn't Resident Evil. Like, if you would have just renamed all of those characters, took it out of Umbrella, like, if it had nothing to do with Resident Evil, I think it would have been a mediocre sci-fi romp that would it have gotten another season? I don't know. Probably not. But I don't think it would have garnered the hate that it did because it had the Resident Evil name. Yeah.
I think they could have done something really cool and gone for like a title that didn't have Resident Evil in it, right? And like name the show something completely obscure, set zombie apocalypse or whatever, and then the very last scene, you know, do like some very light Resident Evil reference, and you're like, oh, and then you're hyped for season 2.
Yeah, then
right?
you're like, oh my god, season 2.
Yeah,
Umbrella Corp.
That's the way you should have done it. You should never have come out the gun saying this is a Resident Evil show when you knew you were so far removed from it.
Well, yeah, and they're like totally, retconning Albert Wesker's character, and anyway, I was all right with the show. I didn't hate it as much as others did.
I'm in the same boat.
But I'm not surprised it was
recently
canceled.
A lot of stuff that people are just so like negative toward. Like, I will watch it and go, I don't know why this is so bad. Like, I laughed really hard during Lightyear, right? The little cat, whatever. I died laughing at some of the moments of that. But it's like, it's not my favorite movie, and I'm not gonna rush out to see it again. But I'm not holding a pitchfork to it.
I did watch Chippendale's Rescue Rangers.
What did you think of that one?
Yesterday with my oldest son. It was incredible. It was so good.
Was it really?
It was so good.
The Seth Rogen laugh scene, I was in tears.
It is so good, Troy. And Dom, I know you were one telling me to watch that and telling me to watch Lightyear. I haven't watched Lightyear yet, but I did watch. I think we talked about this last week, actually, both of these.
Mm-hmm.
I did watch Chippendale's Rescue Rangers as a fan of the cartoon show way back in the day. Troy, if you have Disney Plus, boot it up and watch it tonight.
I'm opening Disney Plus right now.
It is 100% worth a watch. Some of that shit is so funny. I have no idea how these marketing licenses were actually negotiated and pulled off, because there are so many cross-brand things in there. And,
I don't want to spoil anything.
And they are irreverent with every single one of them.
I don't want to spoil anything, but the Major cameo, that was not Disney licensed, fantastic.
Yep, it is absolutely tremendous. Apparently Coca-Cola wanted no parts of it, though. Like I
don't get that.
They were. Get it. I don't either. Some of the bootleg movie titles are insanely brilliant. Yes, watch it tonight, Troy. If you remotely like that cartoon when we were kids,
yes, I absolutely did.
You have to watch it. It was so good. Let's slide over and do Games of the Week. Games of the Week is the way we end every episode of Gaming Gumbo here. Each one of us is going to give you a game. Could be a video game, board game, TCG, mobile game, whatever. Something we're played in the past, haven't played yet, but think you should play. And we're going to recommend it to you. You let us know in the comments on ReadyCheckRadio.com or on YouTube who gave the best recommendation. And if you've got something to recommend to us that we should watch, play, or whatever, by all means, throw it down there. What do you got, Dom?
So one of my good friends has been playing this game called SCP Secret Laboratory. It is a free game on Steam. I'll just read the little synopsis on Steam. It says, deep within the SCP Foundation, during a containment breach, many of the anomalies have bypassed security and escaped from their chambers without peaceful intentions. Become site personnel, a recontainment agent, or an anomalous entity, and fight to take control of or escape the facility. I haven't played it myself personally, but my friend swears by this, and I have to get into it. It just looks really good.
I am
Anything that starts with SCP, you have my attention.
I am replaying through right now PlayStation 1's Chrono Cross. Absolutely wonderful RPG. If you are a fan of Chrono Trigger, this is the quote-unquote sequel to it. You don't need to play one to enjoy the other. There's just a little extra stuff here and there for those of you that have played both. Absolutely wonderful RPG. Absolutely wonderful combat system. Very unique, particularly for its time, but even still relatively unique today. Nobody's really kind of done what they did with the turn-based combat. So Chrono Cross on the PlayStation 1. Troy, finish it up.
I am hooked on New World again, and I'm going to recommend that this is a good time to come back. The changes that have been made since launch, they've cleaned up a lot of the problems. They've made some of the gearing and the in-game grind more interesting. You have more agency in what you're getting when you're getting it. And also next week, stay tuned to mmobomb.com. We've got some information about the future of the game coming out next week.
Yeah, that'll happen on Tuesday. Troy has a wonderful bit of stuff to share with you that neither of us is allowed to talk about right now. So you'll have to come and read what he has to say on Tuesday. We'll be back, of course, next Saturday with another episode of Gaming Gumbo, but don't miss Tarkoth streams this weekend, my Final Fantasy TCG streams on Monday, and the Relic Grind, our Final Fantasy 14/Square Enix podcast, on Thursday. We'll be back Saturday, and hopefully a Torchwick will be back after us. Until then, Dom, where can everybody find you?
Find me down below at It's Zista on Twitter.
Troy.
On Twitter at NoobFridge.
I'm Mike Byrne. Follow me right there at MagicMan1, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO, and you'll know every single time we go live. Until next time, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers. Later.